I think there's this thing that happens to people that is super interesting, and I've seen it, and I felt it in myself at certain points, which is actually what made me want to talk about this. You start growing, right? You do anything in life, or you start getting better at something, you practice it time to time, and you start growing. You start putting in the work, and life start actually moving in a direction, and it feels good. And it should feel good, Like, that's the whole point. You earn it because you put the hard work in to earn that satisfaction of being able to move forward in life. You worked for that. But along the way, and I think this happens subtly, somewhere along the way, some people just drift. And they get a little too comfortable at the new level. They start acting like they were always there. And the people, the places, the version of themselves that got them there, they sort of just quietly forget about all of it. And I think that's one of the saddest things, like, genuinely, not in a dramatic way, but just, that's sad. So the saying is, never go so far that you forgot where you came from. And look, I know that's something that your aunt posts on Facebook with a sunset behind it. I get it, but stay with me for a second, because I think this goes a lot deeper than people give it credit for. Because it's not just about being grateful. I mean, it is, but it's also not. It's about something else. It's about your identity. It's about who the hell you are when you strip everything away. And think about it. When you were starting out, whether that was a new job, a new city, a new skill, whatever, you were hungry. You were humble because you had to be humble. You didn't know everything. You needed people. You asked questions. You paid attention. You were a student of your own life. You know what I mean? And there's something really beautiful about that version of a person, because that version is very real. The walls are down. You're not performing for anyone. You're just figuring it out. And that's genuine and that's honest. And when things start going well, slowly, some people build this wall around that version of themselves. They don't want to look back at it. And I think sometimes it's embarrassment. Like, they're ashamed of where they started, And that bothers me a lot, that embarrassment. It really does bother me. Because I'll be honest with something. I think about this with myself, not in a deep way, but just I have to check in with myself sometimes. Because it's very easy when things are going okay, or when you're growing, to start telling the story of your life in a way that makes it sound more impressive than it was. You start editing out the embarrassing parts, You start leaving out the times you were completely lost, or the times someone had to pull you aside and tell you something you didn't really want to hear. You start forgetting what it felt like to not know what you were doing. And I think that's dangerous. I think that's actually where people start to lose the plot, because that's humility. That thing you had when you started, it wasn't a weakness at all, actually. It was the whole engine. That was the thing that made you coachable, what made you hungry. It made you willing to do the uncomfortable stuff, because you knew you weren't there yet. You had the humility to recognize that. And the second you convinced yourself you were there, and I mean, like, fully when you were there, you arrived and, like, you figured it out, that's when you stopped growing. That's just what happens. It's like a law or something. And there's also the people side of this. I think this is where it gets kind of painful, because some people, when they grow or when they get to a certain level, they just change how they treat the people who knew them before. Not always in a dramatic, obvious way. Sometimes it's subtle. It's in the energy. It's in whether or not you remember someone's name. It's in how much time and attention you give to someone who can't do anything for you. And look, I'm not saying you have to stay connected to everyone from your past forever. You don't, really. People outgrow situations, and that's normal. That's life. But there really is a difference between naturally drifting apart and just straight up looking down on where you came from. Like, I've seen people who've come from nothing, and they got a little bit of success or a little bit of platform or a little bit of money, and they suddenly couldn't look at the old version of their life in the eye anymore. They got put in new situations that were better fit for them, and they just forgot completely about their old self. And, like, the way that they've talked about the places where they came from, like the people they used to know, it was almost like disgusting. Like God, could you ever believe I was there? It's like, bro, that's literally where you were built. Like, why are you talking like that? Like, that place where you were is literally where you learned to show up. That's where you figured out what you are made of. And you're talking about it like you're embarrassed by it. And that's a problem, because that's not growth. That's just ego wearing the costume of growth. You know what I actually think it is? I think a lot of it comes from insecurity, which sounds counterintuitive, right? Because these are people who are doing well. So, why would they be insecure? But I think when people are genuinely secure in who they are, they don't need to distance themselves from where they came from. The most grounded people I've ever come across will tell you exactly where they started. No shame, no performance, no making it sound harder than it was either. Just, this is where I came from. This is what it's like. This is what I learned. And they own it. They own the embarrassing parts. They own the parts where they failed. They own all of it. And there's something about that just commands respect. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but when someone can do that, when someone can look back without flinching, without either glamorizing it or being embarrassed by it, that's a person who actually knows who they are. And that's rare, that's genuinely rare. And the other thing too, and this is something I think about a lot, whatever you have right now, whatever level you're at, whatever you've built, you didn't do it alone. You just didn't. And I don't care how self-made you think you are. Someone gave you a chance at some point. Someone put you in a room you weren't supposed to be in. Someone taught you something, even if they didn't know they were teaching you. Someone believed in you before the results showed up. Maybe it was a parent, maybe it was a person at a job who treated you like you were capable when you weren't so sure. Maybe it was a failure, a moment that broke something open in you. All of it counts. And when you forget that, when you genuinely just rewrite the story so that you did it all on your own and everything you have is just a product of your own brilliance and hard work and nothing else, you genuinely become unbearable to be around, first of all. But more than that, you become disconnected from reality. And that's when the bad decisions start piling up. Because you stop listening. You stop being coachable. You stop checking yourself because you don't have humility anymore. And I think that part is what people don't talk about enough. It's not just about being nice and humble as like a personality trait. It's strategic, like knowing where you came from, keeping that connection alive. That's what keeps you honest. That's what keeps you honest. That's what keeps you sharp. And I want to say something real quick though, because I don't want this to sound like, don't ever change. Stay where you are. Your past is the only thing that matters. That's not what I'm saying. Not even close. Like, obviously, as you grow, things change. The goal is not to be the same person you were 5 years ago. You should be different. You should be better. That is the whole point. But there's a version of change where you take everything with you. The lessons, the gratitude, the understanding of what it actually took. And you carry all of that forward. That's the good version. And then there's a version where you just shed it. Like a snakeskin. That was me then, and I don't need to think about that anymore. And that version always catches up to people. Always. Because they've cut off the very things that made them who they are. It's like trying to grow without a way to just check in with yourself. And when you do this and you don't check on yourself so much, it's impossible to move forward when the past behind you is so flurry, right? It's just fuzz, because I think it's like, what can I say here? It's like you're trying to grow a tree, but you keep sawing off the roots because they're underground and you can't see them and they don't look impressive. Like, nobody's admiring your roots, nobody posts about their roots, but you cut them off and the whole thing dies, man. So, I guess, what does it actually look like? Like, practically, what does it mean to not forget where you came from? I think it just means staying honest about your story. Like, don't over-edit it for people's approval. Don't make yourself sound like you had it all figured out from day one. It means when someone's starting where you started, you don't look at them with impatience or like they're beneath you. You remember, because you remember what it felt like. It means the people who were there when you had nothing, you treat them at least as well as you treat the people who can do something for you now. And honestly, it just means checking in with yourself every so often. Like, am I still the person that I actually want to be? Or have I just slowly become whoever the new circumstances are shaping me into without even noticing? Because that happens so quietly. That's the thing. It doesn't happen all at once. It's just 1,000 tiny decisions over time. And one day you look up and you're someone you wouldn't have recognized a few years ago. And that's not in a good way. I think the people I respect most in life are the ones who have been through a lot, who have built something, who have earned something, and they just stay real about it. No performance, no pretending the journey was cleaner than it was, no looking down at anyone. Just like, yeah, I've come a long way and I remember every bit of it and I'm not ashamed of any of it. So that's the version of success that actually looks like something worth having, you know? All right, that's all I got right now, guys. Peace. See y'all later.